To you all in the United States, Pennsylvania, and then good evening to my folks back home in Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Togo, Benin, etc., etc. Today's political affairs programs tonight. Uh, we want to gauge Ghana's agriculture sector and its food security. Uh, this is this is because, in spite of the government's flagship programs such as the Planting for Food and Jobs, One District, One Dam fertilization program, etc., Ghana's food security index is rather on the decline. Indeed, according to the recent Global Food Security Index published by the Economic Intelligence Unit, EIU, Ghana declined from 78th position to 2016 to 82nd position in 2021. Apart from that, Ghana Statistical Service, GSS, has indicated that food inflation in Ghana had reached an all-time high of 17.40% as of February 2020. Surprisingly, Ghana's Minister of Agric, Owusu Efriye Akuto, has maintained that all is well and there is no cause for alarm. But stakeholders in the sector having vehement disagreement with the minister. So who is telling the truth? Stakeholders or the minister? Joining us to discuss this thorny issue. Joining us to discuss this thorny issue is Dr. William Kwesi Prepra. He is the Chief Financial Officer at the Valley View University in Ghana. We also have the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU, Edward Kariwi. Did I get you right? I think I got it right. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Williams, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Are you?
By the grace of God, I'm doing great. I know at the moment you are on your way somewhere in the hinterland. I'm so excited that we were able to get you. We are trying to stretch the system. I know that there's going to be some few flaps because of network, but by the grace of God, I know we're going to get you right. Okay, so I want to start this
Yeah.
first question with Mr. Kariwi. Mr. Kariwi, you are the General Secretary for GAWU, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Last week, stakeholders in the agric sector, including you, your own GAU issued a joint statement disagreeing with the position of agric minister. What is the basis for your position?
Well, let me say, in Ghana here, we are in the evening. So let me
Right.
say good evening to all our viewers throughout the world.
Yeah.
And then to wish everybody well. Well, as you have indicated,
Yeah.
if you look at the statistics that are coming from EIU and then the Ghana Statistical Services
Right.
of Ghana, you realize that the things are not well with our cultural sector. But the unfortunate thing that came from the minister's point is that the Planting for Food and Jobs is extremely successful.
Okay.
You know, these are the two words, extremely successful. Meanwhile, we those on the ground, if you come to Ghana today, food prices have been going up. But you see, it is easy to say that, oh, this is a global phenomenon, food prices are going up and so on. But we need to also appreciate that we have to look at case by case.
Right.
Now, in Ghana's case, the minister says that in spite of global challenges, we are still having an extremely successful story, which is not the case. So we have to disagree with that because in the past year, that is 2021, the minister's prediction for the output of agriculture in 2021 was that there was going to be a bumper harvest.
Okay.
Now, we considered all the factors on the ground, the challenges that farmers were facing.
Yeah.
For instance, the ministry itself came out on 16th July 2021 on the front page of Ghana's biggest newspaper, the graphic, the daily graphic, that the Planting for Food and Jobs program was struggling for survival. This was the headline. And then the reason the minister gave for that situation was that government was unable to pay for fertilizers that were previously supplied to them for the Planting for Food and Jobs program. As a result, the suppliers refused to give government further credit. Hence, there was no fertilizer. I know the Plan for Food and Jobs program is hinged on increased fertilizer application and also certified seed. So if you have low fertilizer application, then it means output will be low. So given that reality, it was not right to conclude that we're going to have a bumper harvest. Aside that, much of the fertilizer that came into the country was smuggled out of the country for food and jobs. And the ministry came out with a very, very, exciting and interesting story, that a scenario that fertilizers were being smuggled by donkeys, unaided by human beings. And as a result, they could not arrest the donkeys because they were not human beings. So it meant that fertilizer smuggling had attained a very sophisticated level that the ministry could not do anything, or the government could not do anything to stop it. So if you do not have fertilizer, your fertilizer is smuggled out, you don't have fertilizer for application, then there is no way out. You could be expecting a bumper harvest. But here we are. We have predicted that come the first quarter of this year, 2022, there will be a food shortage because normally it is the lean season. But the ministry disagreed. Here we are. The minister is still saying that the program is extremely successful. So we disagree with him in all fronts.
Right. All ahead. Mr. Thank you so much for the brilliant submission. Yesterday, I think I sent some money to my grandmother to go to Medina Market to buy some foodstuffs and then prepare a birthday party for my niece. And then she called back and said the prices of everything has gone high. Honestly, that's the reason why we're having this program. Okay. Doctor, Doctor Pepre, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
I know you are.
Yes.
I know you are on your way, and we will stretch
Uh,
the system.
uh, I'm almost at my destination, so we can
Wonderful.
talk.
Thank God for technology. Let me throw the second question to you,
Yeah.
Doctor Pepre. Okay. Um, as an independent economist and a financial expert, what is your own assessment of the agri sector in the country?
Okay, thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners and viewers, and also good morning to those in the US.
Good evening.
Ghana as a country,
Yeah.
for some time now, we have been, according to government policy, we have been using borrowing system. We borrow money to run our country, and then we use our taxes to pay back.
Okay.
So from 2016, that has been government strategy, which has been documented in their 2016 budget, 2017 budget, up to 2021. The government goes to international markets to borrow euro bonds. So all government programs, including the planting for food and jobs, the expected expenditure, and are all factored in the borrowing. And when the money comes, government will now have to share it according to the ministries and for each program. So this has been the trend, but we just realized that this year, 2022, we were not able to go to the market to go and borrow because Ghana is not very liquid. Our balance sheet in the country is not solid. Credit rating agencies have downgraded us. And then also from 2020, we were not prudent in our financial measures because of election.
Okay.
We went overboard of our spending patterns, and this is what has moved into 2022. So in the Agric sector, as all other ministries are also payment to them are in arrears, the Agric sector is also suffering from government not able to give them the funds to run their operation. So this is what we are seeing now, and at the moment it has caused a very big challenge to government-owned programs. Government cannot pay for fertilizers. Government have a lot of arrears to pay. Contractors that government ask them to build warehouses to store the food. Government also owes them, and these are the issues that we are facing. So this has been the financial impact on the agricultural sector in the country as at the moment.
All right.
So from the session, we can see that we are in a very difficult times as a country. We need money. We need to find innovative ways to raise money to be able to meet government programs. If not, government have already indicated that they are going to slash some expenditures, which may also affect agriculture
Right.
by 20%.
So the problem here is money. The problem here is money, isn't it so?
Yes, please.
I'm so surprised, because Africa, when you're in the US and then you look down, you look up at Africa. Africa is the basket of the whole world's kind of a field where everything can be done. We have a very good temperature, very good soil, etc., etc. And then I'm so surprised that when it comes to agriculture, we can't even still make our ends meet. Okay, let me move to the next question to Doctor Mr. Carriwary. Can you list some key interventions made by government since 2017 in the agri sector?
Well, the two major interventions that government made in agriculture was to subsidize the fertilizer,
Mm,
and 50% of it was subsidized, and then also to subsidize uh, seed,
okay,
So I think the government's own analysis was that there was low fertilizer application by our farmers, and
okay,
then the seed that they were using for germination, germination was low, so they needed to have a certified seed that could have a high germination rate.
right,
So these were two major interventions that the government made. Now, realizing that farmers could not afford the whole cost of
okay,
fertilizer, they decided to subsidize it, and that was good thing. But you see, subsidy, though, is a developmental tool.
yeah,
Uh, it must be selective, it must be target based, and then it must be timeous, and otherwise it becomes a waste.
right,
You know, what we have realized is that, I know in Ghana we don't produce fertilizer.
hmm,
Fertilizer is imported into this country, or parts of it is imported and then it's formulated here. But
right,
we don't manufacture fertilizer in our country. So to do that, you need foreign exchange. And as
okay,
Dr. was talking about, now this puts financial burden on the government. Now, having imported the fertilizer into the country
right,
and government subsidizing the fertilizer using the taxpayers' money, government ought to have made sure that this fertilizer reaches the target group, that is the farmers.
okay,
But unfortunately, smuggling has been widespread to the point that you sometimes even think that the smuggling is done with the support of officialdom.
yeah,
Otherwise, you can't have this magnitude of smuggling of fertilizer, and yet the state cannot do anything about it. For instance, our checks on the ground. When we
yeah,
went to the ground, as I'm speaking with you, I am on the field. You
mm,
know, we go to the ground there, the time of the fertilizer, because this is the dry season though. But
right,
when the fertilizer is coming in, it comes in the truck loads. And then when the farmers go to buy, they say, no, wait, we will sell to you later. By the following day, you find out that the truckloads of fertilizer have disappeared in the town.
uh,
And the,
can I Yeah. Can I intervene a little bit? You mean there is smuggling going on? Fertilizers are being smuggled to neighboring. Is it neighboring countries like maybe Burkina Faso or Ivory Coast or Togo, etc., etc.? And
yes,
I am so surprised with all our securities apparatus, and this thing is happening, and no one has been arrested, or has somebody been arrested? I don't know. Um, I'm
that
trying.
is also,
Yeah.
That's exactly the paradox here, because if you look at it, some people have been arrested too,
Yeah.
but then no one knows what has happened to them,
Okay.
whether they've been prosecuted and so on and so forth. There were instances where even in Sunyani,
Yeah.
there were some ministry officials were involved in fertilizer smuggling. We don't know what has happened to those people.
Okay.
We are also aware that
Yeah.
there are some people who have been arrested who are
Yeah.
smuggling in large trucks, but we don't know the outcome of all that. And the
Okay.
thing that is devastating and hurting to us is that the ministry comes to say that, look, fertilizer is now being smuggled by donkeys, and because it is smuggled by donkeys, they could not arrest the donkey because they are not human beings,
Right.
and it baffles all of us that if this is your own property.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are still telecasting live, and we are
Outside and you
streaming
have seen,
from
you say you
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
cannot.
Yeah. I've
So
noticed. Yeah.
it tells us that we are not really committed to minimizing the smuggling of
Right.
fertilizer. And this now gives some of us the view that the smuggling probably is also being done
Okay.
with official support.
Does it mean that we need some more education to our people? Because if I can still remember in the 80s and in the 80s, 81, 82 up to the 90s, when we had Rollins on the throne, I think we didn't have such things like this because he himself, he was on the ground. We saw him helping the students from Legon carrying cocoa sack and then see to. But I'm so surprised that now that we are in a more civilized administration where people can move freely. This smuggling thing is still going on unchecked. Anyway, let me just move our next question to Dr. Pepera. Doctor, are you still there with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Have you got into your destination
My
now?
destination. Yes, please. Yes. So
All
very clear.
right, all right. I'm going to throw the third question to you. Can you give us a general breakdown of the volume of capital investment government has injected into the agri sector since 2017?
Thank you. So, according to Ghana belongs to AU,
AU.
African Union,
Okay.
and AU. One of their principles for agriculture sector is that every government must invest 10% of its budget
Okay.
into agriculture. But Ghana, from 2017 to date, averagely our investment into agriculture is about 5 to 7%. Ghana as a country, especially from 2016 when government launched the food planting for food and jobs,
Yeah.
have really put a lot of money into agriculture because government realized that the only way to make sure that the youth get employment was in agriculture.
Right.
And so if you read the policy that government came out in 2016, one of them, as has been mentioned, was able to make sure that fertilizer supply 50% will be discounted by 50%.
Right.
And so we got the government also got a lot of support from the Canadian from Canada and also IFAD about $113 million
Mm.
to come and support the planting for food and jobs.
Right.
And these agencies from their funding were the ones that government was relying to reduce or give the discount on the fertilizer supply. In that project also, for food security, the government planned to also build warehouses across the country.
Right.
And a lot of warehouses, about 1,000 of them, have already been built,
Mm-hmm.
but they have not been used. That is another problem. They've been built, but because of lack of money in paying the contractors for government to take over these warehouses,
Yeah.
we can't use it. So the issue of the food security is also from that angle.
Okay.
That if we are having the warehouses,
Right.
we could also store some of the food products
Right.
in them. 1,000 built across the country. This is government investment, but the money is not there to pay these contractors. So some of the contractors We have not signed off the warehouses and we're giving them to the government.
Right.
And also, we noticed that government focus based on the previous government agenda and doing what they call cocoa roads.
Yeah.
Because cocoa is the major area where government gets a lot of money.
Mm.
There was this cocoa road project started by the previous government. It was stopped.
Yeah.
The moment that was stopped, it affected road investment into hinterlands to bring foodstuffs into the country.
Right.
So another area of food security, as we have been saying, is that though at the farm gate they are food products,
Right.
but transporting them into the main capital towns have become a challenge. So government may have to refocus and see if they can start this cocoa road agenda to make sure that we're able to get our food from that end.
Yeah.
And so investment, a lot of money is going into agriculture, but
Right.
as has been noticed, the major one where we are spending close to 50% of government investment, which is the fertilizer project,
Right.
that is where the smuggling is happening. So it's like government will use its money to buy the fertilizer, bring it to the country, but the fertilizers will not be used by the farmers and smuggled out. That's why my other panelist is talking more about
Yeah.
the smuggle activity of fertilizers because they have been discounted by government 50%,
Yeah.
and people are taking it out. And the food, and these are the things that are creating the issue. So, as he said, we expect government to take bold decisions.
Right.
Those they have arrested, let them put them on the court, let them be judged. Let us see the outcome to put some fear in others
Right.
who want to do or smuggle these things out of the country.
Right.
One last thing is that in investment also,
Yeah.
we realize that for data, getting accurate data in agriculture is something that is lacking. So that is why we have seen that the minister is saying that the future is bright, but those on the ground, who are the agriculture farmers, are saying that no, the future is not bright. There is an issue of the data.
Yeah.
What data is the minister using to make these assertions? So government or agriculture minister must invest in data collection, be able to come out with accurate data, so
Okay.
that we all will know what is really happening in the country.
Yeah. You know,
Thank you.
you are 100% right because when it comes in this modern dispensation in which we are now, any decision that we make, whether politically or it's all based on data. Even when you look at the code vec that came, every decision that they are taking globally, every country, every president is based on data. Let me ask another. Let me ask you a follow up question about the silos. You see, the silo that is around Aveno that was built by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah so many years back. You remember that silo?
Yes, yes,
Is
yes,
it
I
still in
remember.
operation? Because I remember when I was a kid, we were seeing those things. We didn't even know what it was.
Uh,
We were asking our parents, "What is that tall building? That thing is still in operation?"
no, most of them are not. The ones that are working are the ones in Tema,
Yeah.
which are being used by cocoa board
Yes.
to store cocoa before they are shipped outside. So the thousand warehouses that were built were not built in a silo format.
Mm.
They were built like ordinary warehouse,
Okay.
ordinary warehouse, like the tech building structure, but not the type that Nkrumah built.
Hmm. Okay.
So that is the other challenge now because should we have bumper harvest?
Right.
Still you have them, but we will not be able to store a lot of them. And it happened. It happened last 2 years. We had a lot of plantain bumper harvest,
Right.
and plantain price dropped, and the farmers started complaining. So the next season, most of them did not go into the plantain season, and we had to export plantain from Ghana to Burkina Faso and Togo and the rest.
Is it because of political unwillingness? That's why we are going through all these things. Because this the way we are discussing this, it looks like an easy thing to do, right? Money, the right infrastructure, or the right plan. But it looks like yes, we get the money, and then we're still having problems. Is it because of political expediency or what? Or unwilling to make the right decision or what, sir?
I mean, for me, I see there's some kind of disconnection between the top and the down, like the policymakers and the policy implementers.
Yeah.
So as the politicians make the policy,
Yeah.
those making the implementation also have their own agenda.
Right. Oh, I see.
And that is what it's like. The fertilizer issue we are talking about. The politician will bring it, give the discount 50%. But when it gets to the district assemblies where the distribution is actually done,
Mm-hmm.
we see a different thing altogether. So if Ghanaians, we may also have to change our attitude
Yeah.
and make sure that we don't only think about what comes to our pocket,
Right.
but we think about the whole system. That one fertilizer you are going to sell outside the country, if it is used in the country, probably it will save my mother or your mother
Yeah.
or your friend or something. So if you have that kind of attitude, so I'm sure, as we all know, attitudinal change goes with
Yes.
every business or every
Yes.
sector.
Right.
So the minister must also make sure that we tell people we are doing this for ourselves. In a champion's time,
Mm-hmm.
Operation Feed Yourself.
Yeah.
You know that he started and put it in people's mind,
Correct.
and we all bought into it. So probably something like that, maybe some radio adverts, TV adverts,
Minister of
telling people
Information.
that
Yes. Yes.
machine will, so that we can connect, and then it will make people who are at the ground, who are the implementers, will now focus on it that we are not going to, use the fertilizers and go and sell them in another country.
Doctor, does it mean that patriotism is done in Ghana? Patriotism is done. Looking at the statistics, the statistics are before you. We look at the people. We go out there. I will listen to TV interviews. Some of the radio stations or TV stations go out on the street. They talk to these workers, and from their sentiment, does it look like there's no patriotism in our country?
Now we are political. We are not patriotic. Everything is being politicized.
Right.
So that is where we are now. So even something that is good that I can do to make sure that the system works.
Yeah.
Once I'm not in line with the ruling government,
Right.
I'll find ways I mean to sabotage it. So because others are saying the two main political parties, when they come, they sideline each other.
Right.
Also, as we know, we don't have a national agenda for
Yes.
years. We still don't have one policy, what they call the national policy agenda, that for the next 40 years, which was done by NDC. When NPP came, they also changed it. They said they are not going to use it.
What is
So,
what is really
what,
causing that till now, as an independent state since 1957, we still don't have a national agenda, but we have been ruled by technocrats, intelligent people, degree holders, PhD holder. How come that when it comes to Ghana, we still don't have a national agenda?
you mentioned, the patriotism is not there. We are thinking of what my political party can do to succeed,
Yeah.
and not think of the nation. So that is what is preventing these parties, these experts from various political parties to sit down and say in the next 40 years or 20 years, this is what we are working towards. So then a party can tell you, if you want to say build 10 roads in 5 years. When I come, I can build 10 roads in 2 years. So then based on that, we can do the voting. But if you look at it, everybody comes with a different manifesto, a different plan, which you just look at the two manifestos that were presented
Right.
during last year's election. They were not thinking together. And once it's like that, they all take a entrenched position, and this really affects the country. But if you have to come together to make sure that at least there are some common things that we all agree, we work towards.
I mean, democracy is like that. We have to agree to disagree, but it's so unfortunate that ours is not towing that path. You know, um, unfortunately, our panelist from the other end, I think his line is gone off. So it's like I'm going to be pinning you a little bit on the wall, but I'll ask 2 or 3 questions and then I'll
Yeah.
let you go so that you can go and have time with your family. Based on what we are seeing so far, you think there is some future for Ghana's food
I mean,
security? Is
I
there
mean,
any?
for,
Yes.
I see that there is danger ahead of us, because I'm just looking at the money aspect.
Yeah.
You cannot do massive agriculture and turn the sector around if
Right.
you are not putting in the needed funds.
Yeah.
we don't, as a country, we depend, the inputs, the agricultural inputs are all important.
Right.
And the reason why we are having these food prices going up because the input costs, they have tripled.
Okay.
One, the international situation happening has caused shortage.
Yeah. Let me just jump in.
Two,
If you say the input cost, what do you mean by that?
so the input cost for say fertilizer,
Correct.
say cattle,
Sure.
say the machinery,
Okay.
all those things that we use in doing whether commercial agriculture or substantial agriculture, they have increased.
Right.
And there's also a general shortage in the world for these products.
Right.
And even when you get it to buy, the price, the dollar price is high. And then in Ghana's case, which is makes it very worse, the exchange rate situation is also very bad. Now a dollar is to 8.2 in the forex market, where the central bank is paying 7.6,
Right.
7.06. So it makes the things input cost very, very expensive. That is why government must have some way to have resources to give the discount so that farmers will be able to do into farming. So like we are saying,
Yeah.
from the season, the rainy season has ended, farmers must be going into more planting and the rest,
Sure.
but they don't have the money to buy the fertilizers. Some of them do not have the money even to plow their land.
You
So
think?
already, what it means that going forward is going to be very serious for us as a country.
Yeah. There is somebody
So
who just. Yes. I'm listening.
the food security situation is something we must all come together and think about it now as a country.
Right.
I'm sure the current government is only looking at the finances, but what to eat
Yeah.
is more serious. If you go to Abublushi,
Right.
there were some data they showed us this week.
Yeah.
Prices have just gone up 6 times.
Okay.
Normal, especially for bread, flour,
Mm-hmm.
which is about say 196 Ghana cedis,
Right.
which is less than say in USA less than
20
or
cents.
$30.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's now going for about 350 Ghana cedis
Right.
for a 50 kg of flour. So bread now has become very expensive. So
It's it's
the
very serious. It's very serious that we are encountering all this, especially we are in Africa where we are in the tropics. We have the soil, and then we have the right temperature to cultivate anything you can even imagine. And we are going through all
oh,
this. Um,
oh,
I think Mr. Edward is back on the line. Let me give him two shots, and then I'll come back to you, Doctor. Please just hold on the
okay, that's
line.
fine.
Yes, in the next 10 minutes, I'll be done with everybody. Mr. Edward, are you still on the line? Can you read me loud and clear, Edward?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll throw the next question to you,
Okay.
Mr. Edward. As key stakeholders, how does the future of Agric in Ghana looks like? You know, what magic should the government employ to help reduce high food prices, my brother? This is a recommendation, right? Oh, his line is gone. Okay, let me go back to Dr. Williams. Dr. Williams, when it comes to business, everybody's talking about the dollar. Dr. Williams, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you
When it comes
very
to
well.
business, everybody's talking about the dollar. But we all know that China is the next superpower. Why wouldn't we adopt the yen to do business? What
I
do you say
mean,
about this?
traders and good, that is the GUTA, the Traders Association in Ghana.
Right.
They have started advocating for us as a country
Okay.
to do more trade in the yen
Okay.
because that is where all of them go to China to go and buy and bring them to the country. But the central bank, also, what it means that you may have to have the yen in the country
Right.
so that they'll be able to make them available to the traders when they need them. So
Right.
probably such arrangements are what we need. But you'll be surprised that when Ghana borrows from China,
Yeah.
we take dollars. We don't take the yen.
Everywhere we go to meet the
So
dollar, right?
yes.
Unfortunately.
That is the issue because then you could have said give us 1 billion in yen
Right.
and then we'll pay you back in yen. But the risk is that it's very difficult to find the yen than to find the dollar.
Right.
So the probably that is what is really happening. And the Chinese also
Yes.
because of their political interest,
Right.
they want to hold a lot of dollars so that the day that they will decide to muzzle United States, they might cripple United States.
Yeah.
So these are the metrics that goes around, and also the IMF, the Monetary Fund,
Yeah.
the World Bank, they have made the dollar a very powerful
Right.
currency in the world, and we all prefer it. This is becoming like a common language that we all understand.
Yeah.
So any deviation from it becomes a problem.
A problem. We understand. Wow. I'm going to ask you one political question. I know you wouldn't like to throw your intention out there, but it's a national issue. Nobody can hide from it. Though we do discuss them in our bedrooms, etc., etc. But please, I just want to pin you to the. So, what do you see about this e-levy thing? Do we have to go for it, or we should just suspend it until the further notice? What do you think?
Oh, I've already spoken about it. I do a lot of talk
Yeah.
on Joy. The day it came out, I was the first person to comment on it.
Okay.
So, to me, the energy is absolutely good. It's a way to bring in the money, but the, the, the where government is taxing
Yes.
is what I disagree with government.
Right.
Simply put, in taxation, I'm also a chartered accountant.
Okay.
So, in taxation, government is supposed to tax the
Right.
service fee,
Good.
not the transaction amount.
All right.
You tax when the service is done, but not the amount, the transaction amount. So, like if MTN or the telcos are taking 1 cedi,
Yes.
the tax should be on the 1 cedi,
Right.
but not on the amount that I am sending to my mother or somebody. So, if I'm sending 100 cedis to somebody, then you are taxing me on that amount. Then I will not send the money. In economics, there's something we call money circulation, M1, M2, M3. The way government have structured this thing,
Yes.
if we don't take care, government will collect all the money in the system and put it in their pocket.
Mm.
So it's a cycle. If I transfer my money to you, I'll pay. If you also
Okay.
transfer to the next person, you will pay. So by the time it finishes,
Right.
government would have used taxation to collect all the money into his pocket.
Mhm.
So government must only tax on the service fee. And I've given an example, a simple calculation.
Right.
Government wants 7 billion.
Yes.
So if government wants 7 billion, government should just say the service fee
Okay.
on mobile money, we will charge GAT, which is 4.5.
Right.
If government charges 4.5% on the service fee, which is a maximum of 1 cedi,
Yeah.
based on the volume of transaction that was done in 2020, which government said it was 500 billion,
Right.
government will get 7.6 billion on the service fee alone.
Okay. Wow.
But the current government spoke against the previous government when they introduced VAT on service fees, which the banks were going to. They call it nuisance taxes, and they removed it
Okay.
when they came into power. So it is that thing that has come back to hand them that they want to go on the e-levy. So if the e-levy, government is going to tax us on the service fee, that one I agree.
Right.
And most academicians, Professor Koche and the rest, all of us, that's what we have been saying, that let the tax be on the service fee and not on the transaction amount.
Right.
That one, everybody will pay. And so if it's on the service fee, it's when I use the service, it's when I pay the tax. If I don't use the service, I don't pay the tax.
Right. Right. This is very.
So
This
that
is
this has been my take.
wow. Well,
on e-levy.
honestly, I will if it's the will of God, I think I will invite you back on this show, Mozart Woods Media, so that you take us through this e-levy thing, because we are in the US here. We are so concerned about what happens back home in Ghana. Most of us want to come back home
And no,
to invest. We want to bring people over there to come and invest. Some African Americans also want to relocate. So whatever happens in
yeah,
Ghana is like we are looking at it with keen
yeah,
interest. That's why we are building this network, so that people can always log in here and then find out what is happening in Ghana. So let me ask a question
that's fine.
about internal revenue. Is the internal revenue going to be given the responsibility in case if the e-levy should be passed? Is it the internal revenue that's going to be in charge of the collection, or another agency is going to be created?
So in the budget that was spread, the government gave an indication that it was going to be a third party.
Okay.
And so they made a provision of about 200 million Ghana cedis for such transactions. And when the people started talking about it, government now made a change and said the GRA, the Ghana Revenue Authority, be the one collecting.
Okay.
So a month after that, the Revenue Commissioner came out to say that they now have all the systems ready. Should government pass the e-levy today,
Right.
they are ready to collect it. So what it means is that probably Ghana Revenue Commission, which is GRA, they are ready now. As they have said that they will be the one, because the law mandates them to collect, not any third party.
Okay.
You can't ask any third party to be going into such transactions. So now GRA says they are ready. They have the systems in place,
Hmm.
which they have collected the central bank, the telcos,
Right.
which they will use it to collect the money for government. So we believe them. So we know that that 200 million that was going to be spent will now not be spent.
Wow. We thank God so much. We thank God for politicians and brothers and sisters who are watching over and putting this government on their toes. Anyway, Dr. William Kwesi Prepra, thank you so much for spending quality time of your Sunday around 8 p.m. I know you should be with your family, but you just spend time with us to open up things and make things so clear to us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Martin Perigo, and this program is coming live from Pennsylvania, United States of America. And today's section of political affairs, we were trying to discuss food issue in the agriculture sector, food issue in agriculture sector in Ghana, and then escalating prices of our goods and services. And then the two personalities that we had on this show to come bring us clarity in what is happening in the food and agriculture sector is Dr. William Kwesi Pipra, the Chief Financial Officer at Valley View University in Ghana. He has been with us on the phone. And I just want to thank God so much for him having time and patience with us. And then the General Secretary of General Agriculture Workers Union, GAWU. That's Mr. Edward Akariwi, who unfortunately had to leave the program because his network was so bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to feed you all with the information, and this is political affairs once again coming from Mozartus Media. If you are still not part of our family, we just go to YouTube and subscribe to Mozartus Media, and then you will be refreshed and given current performance concerning what is happening in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being our guest and then also being our listener for today's program. God bless you all. And once again, this is Political Affairs coming live from Pennsylvania, United States of America. And your host is Martin Pettigo. So, ladies and gentlemen, just stay tuned to this program every Sunday, 7 p.m. GMT Ghana time, 3 p.m. Eastern time in Pennsylvania, United States for political affairs. And on Wednesday, we're going to start our AM talk show where we will preach the word of God 6 a.m. every day. So please just stay tuned. More programs will be coming. And once again, I want to say thank you so much for being our humble listeners on to this show. Bye bye. I got you.